Now, we're back again doing roasts. So today I'm probably going to do the ultimate roast, which is the ribeye roast. So this is a 3-bone rib on the bone, as you can see there. Probably the signature roast beef that any chef would go to. Reason being is plenty of marbling, good fat content, plus we're going to roast the meat on the bone, so it's going to give us maximum flavour. So what we need to do, you need a heavy skillet pan like this one, or a tray, and then we're going to put the beef in, skin side down. But before we put the beef in, it's tied, so I just want to be careful I don't cut the string. I'm just going to push my knife down into the fat, because I want to score that fat a little bit. The reason why I want to do that is because when it's in the pan, I want it to render down, or I want the fat to melt a little bit. So I'm just going to go the other way as well. And as you can see, I'm just not going all the way across because I don't want to cut that string off. That's going to help it hold together. And by doing that, what's going to happen is it's going to allow the heat to get in around the fat and the fat to melt. So good seasoning with some sea salt. Okay, it can be nice and generous. It's a big piece of meat. I'm not going to put any pepper on it just yet. So season it all around. And then I've got some of this beef dripping from Johnstone, which is just, I have a hot spoon there. I just had that spoon in a little bit of water, and I'll add a little bit of that into the pan. So as you can see there, the pan is nice and hot. And then carefully, away from my scalp, skin side down. I'm going to give it a bit of a press. I'm going to higher up the temperature. And I'm going to sear this in the pan for about 6 or 7 minutes altogether, because I want to get nice caramelization. Then we're going to put some vegetables into the pan, put the beef back in, pop it into the oven to roast. Now, if you come and have a look at this beef, you can see now it's starting to get a lovely colour all the way around. And that fat is lovely and caramelised, and it's melted down. I'm just going to take that out onto a pan. As that was cooking, I was just using a spoon and I was taking some of the excess grease out. So what I'm going to do now, I have cut up 2 onions here, just cut them in quarters, carefully pop them in, and a couple of carrots that I've just cut into batter. I've got some bay leaves here. I'm going to throw them in. I'll just turn that pan off there a bit now. And I also have a whole bulb of garlic that I'm going to cut in half and add in. So what I'm doing here is just basically a trivet of vegetables that I'm going to put the beef back on, and we're going to roast in the oven. I've also got some fresh thyme here with a little plant, and I'm just going to cut some of that in. That's going to give us loads of flavour into our sauce later on. You can hear that cracking away now. So, in there I've got some onions, some thyme, some garlic, and already the flavour and the smell has totally transformed. And I'm going to give that a quick stir. And then I'm going to put our wonderful rib of beef back on. And that's going to allow the heat to get all around the beef as it's roasting. And I have a preheated oven here to 210 degrees, fan assisted. And I'm going to pop it in the oven. I just have a tray in there heating, because that's for my roast potatoes, which I'm also going to show you. So as you can see, a wonderful rib of beef on the bone. Popping it into the oven now at 210, and I'm going to give it 20 minutes at 210, and then I'm going to give it another hour at 180. So now what I want to show you is I have a tray in the oven there getting hot, because I want to show you my roast potatoes as well while I'm at it. So some of that wonderful beef dripping, I'm going to add that into the pan. So you've often heard of duck fat roast potatoes, and this is a product Johnstone are doing. It's rendered down beef dripping. So perfect for roast potatoes. Oh, there you go. Selected by a master butcher. So 100% grass-fed Irish beef. So my pan is nice and hot. My tray is nice and hot with the beef back on in. And then these are potatoes that I've just peeled, brought up to the boil, cooked for 2 minutes, and then steamed them or drained them off. And I'm gently going to put them into the pan. Give them a little shake around, and then they're going to go into the oven as well. Now I'm not going to season the potatoes at this point, so no salt, because the salt tends to pull more moisture out of the potatoes, and this sometimes makes the potatoes, it won't be as crispy. Okay, so I want these really, really crispy. So as you can see now, I've just tossed them around in a little bit of the fat. And I'm going to pop them into the oven as well. And they're going to be in there for about 35 minutes altogether. So 220 degrees for 20 minutes, half an hour. Then I'm going to lower the oven down to 180 and I'm going to cook the beef for another 50 minutes to an hour. I like it medium rare, but my family likes to eat it medium, so I'm going to cook it a little bit past medium rare. So the beef is going to have about an hour and a half-ish to roast. And then the most important thing, it's going to rest then for a good 40 minutes before I carve. And that way we have beautiful, tender, succulent meat. Now, the beef has had about an hour and 20 minutes, an hour and 15 minutes into the oven. So it's nice and medium. Just going to give you a little look. So it's a little bit firmer to the touch. So I had 20 minutes at 220 and then I lowered it down to 180 and I gave it another 50 minutes to an hour. I'm going to season it up with a little bit of pepper. And at this point I'm just going to cover it with a little bit of tin foil, because now the most important piece of roasting a piece of meat like that is to let it rest, okay? So that needs to rest for about 40 minutes. That will ensure that that meat is beautiful and tender and succulent. And the other thing I wanted to show you was the beef fat roasted potatoes. So as you can hear and see, they're lovely and crispy. I'm going to season them up now with just a little bit of salt and they're ready to rock. So I'm going to serve this beef. I'll put it onto the chopping board. I'll run my knife down along the bones and I'll carve it into nice slices for when we're ready for dinner. I'm serving it with some roasted potatoes, some carrot and parsley crush and some beautiful steamed broccoli.